Hi everyone, Canoopsy here. The iPhone 6 is Apple's most sold iPhone ever and the third most sold phone of all time. So in 2018, how is this phone held up, and should you consider buying it today? Well, first, let's look at the pricing. If you're buying on eBay, it costs around $150 US to $200 US. On Amazon, around $220 US, and it makes it the cheapest iPhone with a bigger screen. Now, of course, the iPhone 5S is quite cheap today, around $100, but it can be incredibly slow and likely won't get too many software updates in the next year or two, as it's just almost obsolete. So design-wise, the iPhone 6 is still an excellent size and is actually Apple's thinnest iPhone they've ever made. And actually, since this phone, iPhones have actually gotten thicker due to more battery capacity, playing it safe because of bendgate, and also just more components in general. What isn't so thin though are those front bezels. Nowhere near as futuristic compared to the iPhone 10, but then again, neither are the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. They have the exact same bezels as the iPhone 6. And the display itself is that just above 720p resolution we're pretty much used to on this phone up to the iPhone 8 of today with the 4.7-inch model, but besides the resolution, the colors, the accuracy, the brightness of viewing angles, they've all been much improved since this phone over the last few years. Also with this iPhone, you still have that headphone jack as well as a version 1 fingerprint scanner, but it's nowhere near as fast as the version 2 on the iPhone 6s and higher. It's about equivalent to Face ID on the iPhone 10. But you're missing things today like stereo speakers, wireless charging, and water resistance, since Apple didn't really care too much about these features when this phone was first released. But then again, they are more so conveniences than they are necessary features on your phone. But now that this phone is around 3.5 years old, what is the daily performance like? Well, to be totally honest, I tried loading all my applications and main content from my iPhone 10 onto this phone, but I actually have the 16GB model, so it kind of wasn't really possible. I basically ended up loading all my essential daily usage applications onto this phone and not really too much else. It's not an absolute perfect representation, but it gives a good general feel. The iPhone is running on a gig of RAM and Apple's A8 processor, and it's, like I said, totally usable, but if you're going from a 2016 or higher flagship to this phone, you're gonna definitely notice that overall slowness. Performance isn't too terrible, but there's definitely some very visible slowness on this device. Things like typing and swiping lag, web page crashing, long wait times, reduced frames using the operating system, as well as in gaming as well. It's not really a totally smooth overall experience. And if I was able to actually add in more applications and more pictures, this phone would probably have an even harder time keeping up with my usage. Now, to address the obvious elephant in the room, Apple has been slowing down iPhones in favor of preventing reboots and shutdowns for quite a little while. It's been all over the news, it's kind of hard to miss this detail, but the next big software update, iOS 11.3, will totally fix and actually reverse these changes. You'll be able to actually boost your phone's performance by turning off power management on the device. Not sure how it's actually going to affect your performance and overall battery life, but it should be good to actually have that option instead of throttling the iPhone's performance. What is on the border of being a bit unusable for most people though is the battery life. If you're buying this phone today, it's most likely been used or refurbished. Either someone has been using this battery for 3.5 years straight, or it's been replaced at some point in this phone's lifetime. And speaking of replacements, Apple's actually offering a discounted $30 official battery replacement, so you may want to take that into account if you're buying an iPhone 6 used. Either way though, battery replacement or not, battery life is not really a true strong suit of the iPhone 6. It never really has been. For my refurbished iPhone 6 model, it lasts about to the mid-afternoon or early evening, so it's really not a great battery life experience. This is without all my applications and stuff always running on this phone, so I expect it to be even worse if I had all my things actually on this device. The final thing, the camera experience. The main camera is 8 megapixels and the front camera is 1.2 megapixels. The front-facing camera really isn't so great, but the rear camera isn't too bad at all. The lack of any optical stabilization definitely hurts for holding the phone still for pictures, but in bright light, good results are definitely quite possible. Now, colors, dynamic range, and sharpness won't really be as good as 2017 or 2018 phones, obviously, but for quick shots, you can easily get some fairly decent overall results. Surprisingly, video shot in 1080p really isn't too bad either, and thankfully there actually is electronic stabilization applied in post. So in 2018, should you buy an iPhone 6 at its now quite discounted price? Well, if you need to have an iPhone specifically, you don't mind it's not the fastest phone ever, the best looking, longest lasting, you don't mind the missing features or the just okay camera, then you could probably actually get away with using this phone as your daily device. Personally, I'd check out at least an iPhone 6s or a budget-friendly Android phone from this year or last year, a refurbished Android phone, as it might be a bit better overall value. But an iPhone 6 in 2018 really isn't such a bad experience. It's not great, but it's better than I expected. Would you buy one today? Do you still use one? Let me know in the comments down below. And thank you for watching.